Now, I don't know if you know who Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller is. He is a former Marine lieutenant colonel who, after the very horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan that led to the deaths of Marines because of a suicide attack at Kabul airport, he publicly criticized the Biden administration plus senior military leaders over that withdrawal. Now, he ended up in the brig. He was more than willing, after a 17-year career, to take accountability for his actions because he wanted accountability for the actions of those above him. He is now going to be on the Department of Defense team that is going to investigate everything that happened when it came to that withdrawal. No joke. Somebody who went to the brig, that's military prison, in case you don't know this, he knew he was violating the Uniform Code of Military Justice when he did this. Now, I'm going to play some videos to let you know who he is. The first video is the one of him giving his speech on YouTube and his reasons for what he did. Then I'm going to show you a news program of him joining the Department of Defense. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you a little bit more information.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Good evening. My name is Lt Col Stu Scheller, United States Marine Corps. I'm the current battalion commander for Advanced Infantry Training Battalion. I've been in the Marine Infantry for 17 years. Started my tour with Victor 1-8. It's the current unit that's doing perimeter security, dealing with the mess that's going on there. You can see open source reporting that there was an explosion and some people were killed. I know through my inside channels that one of those people that were killed was someone that I have a personal relationship with. Won't go into more details because the families are still being notified. Not making this video because it's potentially an emotional time. Making it because I have a growing discontent and contempt for my perceived ineptitude at the foreign policy level, and I want to specifically ask some questions to some of my senior leaders. And I'll say, as a person that's not at 20 years, I feel like I have a lot to lose. If you play chess, you can only see 2 to 3 moves out because there's too many variables. I thought through if I post this video, what might happen to me, especially if the video picks up traction, if I have the courage to post it. But I think what you believe in can only be defined by what you're willing to risk. So if I'm willing to risk my current battalion commander seat, my retirement, my family's stability, to say some of the things that I want to say, I think it gives me some moral high ground to demand the same honesty, integrity, accountability from my senior leaders. And so I want to start with, we'll just use the Marine Corps. We'll just stick with the Marine Corps. So in the current fallout of Afghanistan, a lot of Marines were posting on social media, and in response to that, the Commandant published a letter, which is the Service Chief of the Marine Corps. And I want to read from it. It was dated 18 August, so only a week ago. The Commandant, sir, you wrote, "Some of you may be struggling with the simple question, was it all worth it? We want you to know that your service is meaningful, powerful, and important. You fought for the Marine to your left and the Marine to your right. You never let them down." And then you go on to say that, if we're struggling, we should seek counseling, which, I get it. People have killed people. I've killed people, and I seek counseling, and that's fine. There's a time and place for that. But the reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down, and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. If an O5 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise, and I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone? Did anyone do that? And when you didn't think to do that, did anyone raise their hand and say, we completely messed this up? I've got battalion commander friends right now that are posting similar things, and they're saying, wondering if all the lives were lost and if it was in vain, all those people that we've lost over the last 20 years. And he goes on to say that we're all part of a chain. While every link may not be tested, the strength of the chain is only as strong as each link, and you got to be, good link, something like that. And what I'll say is, and from my position, potentially all those people did die in vain if we don't have senior leaders that own up and raise their hand and say, we did not do this well in the end. Without that, we just keep repeating the same mistakes. This amalgamation of the economic / corporate / political / higher military ranks are not holding up their end of the bargain. I want to say this very strongly. I have been fighting for 17 years. I am willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability.
A high school grad who went toe-to-toe with the U.S. military now says he's joining the Department of Defense.
So Stu Scheller was discharged from the Marine Corps for publicly criticizing the United States withdrawal from Afghanistan back in 2021. And WLWT News 5's Todd Dykes is here with Scheller's new job and reaction from his very proud parents, Todd.
Very proud indeed, Chris and Ashley. From decorated Marine to a controversial discharge, Stu Scheller's military career has been marked by high points and a pretty steep valley. Today, the former Marine Lieutenant Colonel announced on Facebook that he's filled with hope and optimism, having been selected to serve President Trump as part of the DOD. The second inauguration of President Trump represents a full circle moment for Stu Scheller and his parents, Kathy and Stu Sr.
We are just so excited that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth has honored our son and is bringing him back in to help make the changes that are necessary.
Today, Stu Scheller, a graduate of both Anderson High and UC, announced he'll be joining the Department of Defense as a senior advisor with a focus on personnel and readiness.
This is just the beginning. This is the beginning to restore our military.
Scheller, a decorated Marine who served for 17 years, rising to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, has been on his own quest for restoration since he made this post in uniform on social media.
I demand accountability.
Scheller blasted military leaders for the way the U.S. left war-scarred Afghanistan 3.5 years ago, a chaotic operation that left 13 service members dead. His comments sparked a firestorm that led to a stint in jail and ultimately to Scheller's resignation. Last week, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth mentioned the 43-year-old Scheller during his confirmation hearing.
The only person held accountable in those moments was a Marine Corps lieutenant colonel who had the courage to stand up and say someone should be held accountable for that. His name is Stu Scheller.
That recognition and his son's new post at the DOD represent more than just a poignant comeback, says Stu Sr.
He took a stand for what was right. He spoke truth to power. Stuart's going to make a difference in our military. We are so excited about the future.
Now, in his Facebook post, Stu Scheller said he was offered the Department of Defense job 2 weeks ago. He said he waited until today to make the announcement to avoid complicating Pete Hegseth's confirmation process, adding Hegseth is the defense secretary that, quote, warfighters deserve. Todd Dykes, WLWT News 5.
So you saw all that. You have an idea of who Stu Scheller is. Now, as somebody who knows quite a few folks that have had a career in the military, I even know folks now who are career military. Speaking out on this kind of matter is a violation of the UCMJ. For those of y'all that are civilian, y'all get to see this once in a while, but you don't really understand the significance of this because this does a lot of things. It disrupts the chain of command. It causes people to lose faith in either the person doing it or the higher ups. It disrupts the chain of command. And what he did to some was brave. Others not so much. Here is U.S. Naval Institute, Captain Thomas R. Beale, U.S. Navy, retired. He was what would be a colonel in the regular military. Captain in the Marine Corps or the Army or Air Force is an 03. But a captain is 06. Sorry, it took me a second. So it'd be like the same as saying colonel. Here is a paragraph of what he said. To his credit, Scheller has publicly embraced responsibility for his actions, accepting removal from command and the judgment of the court-martial. He will leave the Marine Corps without complaint in the near future. Well, he ended up in a brig. Where Scheller gets it wrong, however, is his belief that he is right to disobey orders and speak truth to power while still in uniform and still in command. In fact, he or any officer has the option to act insubordinately only when given an unlawful order. Scheller may disagree strongly with his government's policy, but he has no right to undermine that policy by publicly criticizing it while holding a commission on active duty. He also had other legal options to act on his beliefs. He could have resigned his commission and run for public office, as many members of Congress have done. From this public platform, he could have expressed his views and even influenced the policy from which he disagrees. Instead, he chose to leverage his exemplary military career to lend credibility to his views. Such insubordination is not only illegal, but is a violation of our core values. Ultimately, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller's actions were dishonorable, reflected misplaced courage, and demonstrated a lack of commitment to his Marines, to the naval service, and to the nation and the Constitution. So, you just heard all that. There are those that were in the military at the time of that I have spoken to. I am not going to name names. I am not going to have any of it. These were private conversations with individuals who some of them I am friends with. Some of them I am more of acquaintances with, but I was part of a conversation with people like this that they looked at Scheller. Some of them kind of agreed with the captain. Some of them went, it needed to be done, but he took the martyr's way. And some saluted him. They think that it needed to be done, and they were glad it was done, but they weren't going to do it. This is the situation that came from this. But this man is now going to be investigating this same withdrawal that he had a problem with. I think this is a good thing. I am going to let you have your own opinion. There are many opinions on this. I'm going to let you have your own opinion on whether you think that Lieutenant Colonel Scheller acted honorably, but I thought you might be interested in hearing this little story. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.